Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. A man can say, I love you 100 times, but if his actions don't back it up, those words don't mean a thing. Now, a real man, when he's in love, doesn't have to announce it every 5 minutes. Whoo! Oh, you're going to know, not because he said it, but because you can feel it in the way he moves around you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about men. We're not always the best at saying what we feel. We can tell you about the game last night, the car we're dreaming about, or how good those ribs were at the barbecue. But when it comes to matters of the heart, a lot of us, we stumble, we mumble, we even avoid the whole subject altogether. But here's the thing. A man doesn't have to say, I love you, for you to know he loves you. Why? Because when it's real, when it's deep, it's written all over his actions. His life starts to rearrange itself to fit you in. And you can see it before you ever hear it. See, words are easy. Anybody can say, baby, I love you. But actions take effort. They take consistency. They take sacrifice. And that's where the truth lives, in the effort a man is willing to put in without being told. If he's in love, you're going to feel it in the way he treats you, the way he looks at you, and the way he moves through his day with you in mind. It's like his compass shifts, and now it's pointed straight toward you. Now, a man's actions are like his signature. You can tell who he is and where his heart is by the way he shows up. For instance, if a man makes time for you, even when his schedule is packed, that's not an accident. That's intention. We make time for the things we value. If you're high on his list, he's going to make sure you feel it. And notice, I didn't say when it's convenient. No, a man who loves you will rearrange his plans, lose a little sleep, drive across town, and show up when you need him. That's action speaking louder than any I love you ever could. And watch how he treats your needs versus his own. If he's putting you first, not in a way that erases himself, but in a way that honors you, that's a clear sign his heart's in it. He'll pick up something you like without being asked. He'll fix that thing around the house before you even knew it needed fixing. He'll handle small problems so you don't have to stress over them. That's love on display. That's a man saying, I've got you, without using the word. Even the way he listens is in action. If you talking and he's really tuned in, not just nodding along while his mind's somewhere else, but actually listening, that's a man showing love. He's making a mental note of your likes, your dislikes, your dreams, your worries. Then later, you'll see those little details pop up in what he does for you. That's not a coincidence. That's intention. Another big sign is how he acts when nobody's watching. See, a man who loves you isn't just putting on a show for the public. He's not just doing things to earn brownie points. He's consistent whether you're there to see it or not. Maybe he's bragging about you to his friends when you're not around. Maybe he's working harder to build a better life for the two of you, even when you have no idea he's doing it. Those behind the scenes actions, that's where his real heart is showing. And ladies, understand this. When a man is truly in love, his pride starts to make room for you. He might be a tough guy, he might be a man of few words, but when you're important to him, his actions will soften in your direction. He'll open doors, he'll walk on the outside of the sidewalk, he'll check in on you just to see if you're okay. These are little things, but they are like flashing neon signs saying, I care about you. Now, here's where it gets powerful. A man in love doesn't even realize half the time that he's doing these things. It's not some calculated checklist. It's instinct. It's like breathing for him. And that's how you know it's genuine. Because when something's real, you don't have to force it. It just shows up in every part of how he moves. So if you're wondering if a man loves you, stop focusing on how often he says it. Look at what he does. Look at the effort, the consistency, the way he adjusts his life for you. That's where the truth is. When a man is truly in love, his presence becomes something you can count on like the sunrise. It's not just about being there for the fun times or showing up when everything is smooth and easy. Anybody can do that. The real proof is in how he shows up when it's inconvenient, when the situation is messy, when life throws curveballs. A man who loves you doesn't wait for perfect conditions. He's there in the middle of the storm, holding the umbrella, even if it's soaking him too. His consistency speaks for him louder than any "I love you" ever could. You'll notice it in the way he rearranges his priorities. He might have a long day at work, be bone tired and ready to collapse, but if you need him, he's on his way. He doesn't make excuses about being busy because you are not a side thought to him. You are part of his main agenda. And it's not about grand gestures all the time. Sometimes it's something as simple as showing up to your family event, even when he doesn't know a single person there, just because it matters to you. That is his way of saying, I'm invested in your world. Being consistently present also means he's not disappearing and reappearing depending on his mood. You don't have to wonder where he stands because his actions tell you every day. He checks in not out of obligation, but because you're on his mind. He wants to know how you're doing, not just when you're laughing and smiling, but when you're stressed, overwhelmed, or even hard to be around. His presence doesn't waver with your mood. He's there when you're at your best and when you're at your most vulnerable. Sometimes his consistency looks like him sitting quietly by your side when you've had a rough day, not trying to fix everything, but just making sure you're not facing it alone. It's in how he notices the moments when you're too tired to cook and brings home your favorite takeout. It's how he makes time for those phone calls or video chats when you're apart, no matter how late it gets. These aren't small things. They're the glue that builds trust. A man who is consistent also remembers what he's promised you. If he says he's going to be there, he's there. He doesn't flake. He doesn't give you excuses at the last minute. That's because he values your time and he respects the trust you've placed in him. The more you see him follow through, the more you know you can rely on him. And that's one of the deepest ways love shows itself, through reliability. It's also important to see how he handles the moments when he could easily choose himself over you. Maybe there's an event he's been looking forward to, but something important to you comes up at the same time. The man who loves you will make the choice that supports you, and he'll do it without resentment. That's the difference between convenience and commitment. When life gets difficult, consistency is the clearest proof of love. Anyone can stand by you when the sun is shining, but it takes someone deeply invested to stand in the pouring rain and still smile at you. A man who is truly there for you will go through seasons of struggle without disappearing. His loyalty won't shake just because circumstances change. Consistency isn't flashy, but it's powerful. It builds a foundation. It shows you that this isn't just a momentary spark, it's a steady flame. The kind of presence he offers tells you that you're not just a temporary chapter in his life, you're part of the whole story. And in a world where people often come and go, that kind of steady showing up is rare. A man who loves you doesn't just appear when it's time to celebrate. He's there when you're crying, when you're doubting yourself, when you're sitting in silence trying to figure life out. He's there when it's boring, when it's stressful, when it's messy. His presence isn't conditional on you being perfect or life being easy. He's there because his heart is with you, and that's where he intends to stay. When a man is in love, one of the clearest ways you'll see it is through the way he serves you without needing to be asked. It's not about servitude or losing himself. It's about a genuine desire to make your life easier, to lighten your load, and to see you smile. Acts of service are love in motion. They are proof that he's paying attention, that he notices your needs before you even have to say them, and that he takes joy in stepping in to meet them. It's not for recognition, not for applause, and not as a bargaining chip. It's simply because he cares. You might be talking about how your car has been making a strange noise, and before you know it, he's out there checking it, calling a mechanic, or even fixing it himself if he can. You don't have to write him a to-do list. He's already watching, already listening, already thinking ahead. If he notices that your coffee mug is always empty in the morning, he's up a few minutes earlier to make sure it's waiting for you. If he sees that you're buried under a pile of work, he's the one stepping in to handle the little errands so you can breathe. What makes this so meaningful is that it's not grand, dramatic gestures every time. Yes, he might surprise you with something big once in a while, but the real power is in the small, consistent acts. He'll change that hard-to-reach light bulb without you having to mention it twice. He'll carry the heavy groceries up the stairs without hesitation. He'll notice the way you like your blanket tucked at the edge of the bed and make sure it's that way when you climb in at night. These aren't just chores. They're love notes written in action. Acts of service also show that he's willing to invest his time and energy into you. Time is something you can't get back. And when a man chooses to spend his time making things better for you, that's a clear sign of love. He's not just helping because it's convenient for him. He's helping because your comfort, your peace, and your happiness are important to him. And he doesn't keep a tally. He's not looking to get even or to cash in on his good deeds later. The service itself is the reward because it allows him to contribute to your well-being. You'll also see this love in the way he anticipates your needs. Maybe you've had a long day and without saying a word, he's already prepared your favorite meal or drawn you a warm bath. He's reading between the lines of your day, paying attention to your body language and responding without you needing to spell it out. That's the difference between someone who's simply there and someone who's actively loving you. Sometimes these acts of service require sacrifice on his part, and you might not even notice it right away. He could be giving up time with his friends to help you get something done. He might be pushing back his own plans to run an errand for you. And he won't make a big deal about it because the point isn't for you to see how much he's given. The point is for you to feel cared for. Another layer to this is his consistency in doing these things. Anyone can be helpful once in a while, but a man in love will make it a habit. It becomes second nature for him to think, how can I make her day easier? How can I take a little weight off her shoulders? That mindset comes from a place of deep emotional connection where your happiness is intertwined with his own. And here's the thing, these acts of service aren't just about making life more convenient for you. They're about building trust and showing you that you can depend on him. Every time he does something to help, he's reinforcing the message, you're not in this alone. I'm here, I've got you. Over time, these actions create a sense of security that words alone could never provide. When a man serves you in this way, without being prompted, without expecting anything in return, it's one of the purest forms of love you'll ever see. It's the kind of love that doesn't need to be announced because it's being lived out in real time right in front of you every single day. When a man loves you, his protective instinct shows up in ways that can't be faked. It's not just about standing in front of danger like some action movie hero. It's about the everyday ways he makes sure you're safe, comfortable, and emotionally secure. This kind of protection is woven into how he moves, what he pays attention to, and the little things he does without even thinking. It's not about controlling you or limiting you. It's about looking out for you in a way that says, I care too much to let anything hurt you if I can help it. It starts with the physical side. You'll notice he naturally positions himself on the side of the street closest to traffic when you're walking together. He might open the car door for you and make sure you're in before he walks around to his side. If you're going somewhere unfamiliar, he might offer to drive, not because he doubts your ability, but because he wants to make sure you're comfortable and safe along the way. These are small things, but they're instinctive when his heart is invested in you. Protection also shows up in how he reacts to other people's behavior toward you. If someone makes you uncomfortable, he's tuned in enough to notice it. Maybe even before you say a word, he'll step in, change the subject, guide you away from the situation, or make it clear in a respectful but firm way that you're not to be disrespected. He's not picking fights or trying to prove something. He's simply unwilling to let you feel unprotected in his presence. And it's not just about physical safety either. It's emotional protection. When a man loves you, he becomes aware of how the world can affect your feelings. He'll stand up for you in conversations, make sure you're not put down or dismissed, and reassure you when life starts to shake your confidence. If someone speaks negatively about you, he's not going to sit quietly. He's going to defend you, even if you're not there to hear it, because your dignity matters to him. His protective instinct also comes out in the way he helps you prepare for things. He might remind you to bring a jacket if the weather's turning cold, or make sure your phone is charged before a long trip. If you're starting a big day at work, he's the one making sure you've eaten breakfast or that you've got what you need for your meeting. He's not trying to parent you. He's paying attention because your well-being is on his mind. Sometimes protection means stepping in to take on stress you don't have to carry. If something is overwhelming you, he'll handle it without making you feel incapable. He wants to lighten your load, whether that's dealing with a bill, fixing a problem in the house, or talking through a difficult situation. His goal isn't to take over your life, but to make it easier for you to live it without unnecessary strain. There's also a quiet kind of protection that happens when he shields you from things you don't even realize could hurt you. Maybe he handles certain challenges without telling you all the details, not because he's hiding things, but because he doesn't want you to carry stress you don't need. He's not keeping you in the dark. He's filtering out the noise so you can have more peace. And this protective nature isn't about making you dependent. In fact, it's the opposite. A man in love wants to see you thrive in your own strength, but he's always going to be that safety net you can count on. He's the one scanning the environment, thinking a few steps ahead and making sure that if something goes wrong, you won't have to face it alone. And the thing is, he's not doing it for recognition or thanks. In many cases, he doesn't even think of it as protection. It's simply the way he loves. It's a built-in part of who he becomes when he's committed to someone. It's in his nature to make sure you're okay, to step in before a problem becomes bigger, and to let you know in every possible way that you are safe with him. When a man's love is real, protecting you isn't an occasional act. It's an everyday instinct. Silent sacrifices are one of the clearest signs that a man is in love because they reveal a level of selflessness that words can't capture. When a man loves you, he'll give up things he wants or even needs, not because he's forced to, but because your happiness means more to him than his own comfort in that moment. These sacrifices are often quiet, subtle, and easy to overlook because he's not doing them for credit. In fact, he might go out of his way to make sure you never feel guilty about them. That's what makes them so powerful. They come from a place of pure love. It can be something as small as letting you pick the restaurant when he had a craving for something else, or giving you the last slice of pizza when he's still a little hungry. It might be him changing his weekend plans so he can be with you at an event that's important to you, even though it's not his scene. These may seem minor, but they add up. Every time he chooses you over his own preference, it's a small sacrifice, and over time, it paints a clear picture of his priority. The bigger sacrifices are the ones you might not even see right away. Maybe he's working extra hours so he can save for something that will benefit you both. Maybe he turns down opportunities that will take him far away from you because he doesn't want distance to weaken your connection. He might cut back on things he enjoys so he can help you pursue your dreams. These choices often happen quietly, behind the scenes, without him ever saying, "Look what I gave up for you." What's important to understand is that a man in love doesn't see these sacrifices as a burden. To him, they're part of loving you. He's not keeping score. He's not waiting for a payback. The joy for him is in knowing that you're happier, more comfortable, or more supported because of what he did. That's why he doesn't always announce it, because the act itself is the reward. Silent sacrifices also show how deeply he's thinking about your future together. He's not just living for the moment. He's making choices with long-term impact. Maybe he's saving money instead of spending it on himself so that you can both have security down the road. Maybe he's giving up time with his friends or hobbies to be more present in your life. These decisions can be hard, but love makes them feel worth it. Sometimes the sacrifice isn't about giving something up, but about holding back when it would be easier to react. Maybe he swallows his pride in an argument to keep the peace. Maybe he chooses to listen instead of pushing his point just to win. These are quiet forms of love that don't make headlines, but they keep relationships strong. A man in love also sacrifices his own convenience without hesitation. If you're sick, he might stay up all night taking care of you, even though he has to work the next day. If you need something, he might drive across town during rush hour just to get it. If you're stressed, he might take on extra responsibilities so you can rest. None of these things are easy, but his willingness to do them without complaint is a silent declaration of how much you mean to him. These sacrifices, big or small, are woven into the everyday fabric of a loving relationship. You might not notice all of them in the moment, but over time, you start to realize how much he has quietly set aside for your sake. And when a man consistently chooses your needs, your comfort, and your happiness over his own convenience, without resentment, without keeping a ledger, that's love in its purest form. When a man is in love, one of the most telling things he does is listen with his heart. This isn't the kind of listening where he's nodding while thinking about something else. It's not just hearing your words, it's absorbing them, remembering them, and acting on them later in ways that make you feel seen and valued. Listening with his heart means he's paying attention not just to what you say, but to how you say it, to your moods, to the little things you mention in passing that other people might forget within minutes. You might casually mention that you love a certain kind of tea, and the next time you open the cupboard, there it is. You could tell a story about your favorite childhood snack, and weeks later he surprises you with it because he remembered how it made you smile. This kind of listening is active. He's taking mental notes because the details of your life matter to him. When you're talking about your dreams, your fears, your goals, or even the silly little things that make you laugh, he's locked in because he's interested in your whole world, not just the parts that involve him. Listening with his heart also means he notices the things you don't say. He can pick up on the shift in your tone when something's bothering you, even if you haven't come right out and said it. He sees the look in your eyes when you're tired or the way your shoulders tense when you're stressed. And instead of ignoring it, he'll ask, "What's wrong?" or step in to help without needing a full explanation. This is because he's attuned to you, your voice, your expressions, your energy. When a man loves you like this, he uses what he hears to bring you comfort and joy. If he knows you've had a long day, he might run you a bath or put on your favorite movie without you asking. If you mention a restaurant you've been wanting to try, he'll plan a date there. If you talked about feeling nervous for a meeting, he'll check in to see how it went. These gestures are rooted in the fact that he's not just hearing, he's holding on to what matters to you and acting on it later. Another part of listening with his heart is respecting your words. He doesn't dismiss your feelings or brush off your opinions. Even if he disagrees, he takes the time to understand where you're coming from because your perspective matters to him. He listens to learn, not just to respond. And when he does respond, it's thoughtful, not rushed or distracted. This kind of listening builds trust because it shows that you can share openly with him without fear of being ignored or misunderstood. It's also in the way he remembers things long after you've said them. Maybe months ago, you mentioned a place you'd love to visit, and then one day he brings it up again, telling you he's been thinking about how to make it happen. Or you once said a certain song makes you happy, and out of nowhere, he plays it for you when you're feeling down. These moments feel small on the surface, but they're deeply meaningful because they show he's been holding on to pieces of you in his mind and heart. Listening with his heart goes beyond conversations. It's watching and learning your habits, your routines, and your unspoken needs. He notices how you like your coffee, the way you take your sandwich, the exact spot you like to sit in the living room. He takes all these observations and uses them to make you feel more at home in his presence. When a man listens like this, it's not because he's trying to impress you. It's because he's invested in you. He wants to understand you fully, to know what lifts you up and what weighs you down. And the beautiful part is that he's not doing it for recognition. He's doing it because knowing you on that deep level allows him to love you better. That's the power of a man who listens with his heart. He turns your words, your silences, and your smallest details into a map that guides his love for you every single day.